Ranking NBA teams' courts from worst to best, not the arena, just the court itself. Also, I know some teams have 2 or 3 courts, but I just use the primary court that they have for most of their games. The worst court in the NBA for me is the Spurs. I know their colors are black and gray, so they didn't really have an option to do anything eye-popping, but still, this is pretty bad. Even the font on the baseline and on top of the court is the most basic font you could use. Second worst for me has got to be the Clippers. I mean, your team colors are blue and red, yet you choose to go with a boring black and white court design. That makes no sense. This one was super close to being dead last, and the only reason I put it above the Spurs is because I like the roadmap of LA on the outline of the court. 28th, I got the Rockets. Another very boring court, only one color, but at least it's a little more colorful than the black and white one, so that's why it's here. 27th is the Thunder. Another super boring one. The font on the baselines is super basic, but at least the logo at center court gives it a little bit of color. 26th, the Knicks. It's classic, so that's why it wasn't worse, but it's so boring. 25, I've got the Warriors. This one's another one that's just kind of plain to me. There's nothing really special about it. Even the font on the baseline is just a little boring and plain. But I do like that they have blue and yellow throughout the court, so it's okay. 24, I've got the Wolves. Another one that's just kind of plain and not got a whole lot of color to it, but I love the font they have on the baseline, so that's why it made it this far. 23 is the Blazers. I'm sure you guys have noticed by now, I don't really like courts that only have 1 or 2 colors, so that's why it's here. But it made it this far because I love the font that they have on all the words throughout the court. It's really cool. And I also like the whitened paint area. 22, I've got the Pistons. Finally, we're starting to get some courts with more than 1 color, but there's nothing really special about this one, so that's why it's here. And 21, I've got the Cavaliers. Just like the Pistons, we're finally starting to get more than 1 color. But again, there's really nothing special about this court. But I like that they paid tribute to their 50th season, so that's why they're ahead of the Pistons. 20th, I have the Kings. The block font that they use throughout the court is pretty cool. And I also like their logo, so having that at center court helped them make it this far. 19th, I've got the Bucks. You guys might think it should be ranked higher, but to me it didn't really stand out since it's only 1 color. I do like the font that they have on the baseline, and the logo at center court is pretty cool too. 18, I've got the Jazz. The font on the baseline is a little bit boring to me, but I like that it's multicolored, and I really like the music note logos that they have in the corners. 17, I've got the Wizards. Kind of plain, but I like this one because of the different colored hardwood inside the three-point line. This looks really cool, and I also like the DC logo that they have in each corner. This is a nice tribute to the city. 16, I've got the Pacers. I like the blue and yellow color scheme. I like that it says We Grow Basketball here since the state has a rich basketball history. And my favorite thing about this court is the Indiana logos in the corners. It looks really cool. 15th, I have the Bulls, and for one simple reason. I like that they have the logo in all 4 corners of the court. Some teams have the logos in the corners, but they only have it in 2. The Bulls are literally the only team in the NBA that has it in all 4 corners. And the logo is sweet, so having it on the court 5 times makes for a nice look. 14th, I've got the Magic. The color scheme and font is a little basic, but I like the parquet floor, and since they're one of only 2 teams in the NBA to have it, I figured they deserve to be top 15. 13, I've got the Hawks. I like the color scheme. The font is really cool. Nothing super unique that makes this one stand out, though, so that's why it's not top 10, but this one's solid. 12 is the Suns. I love that it's got several colors. I like the different colored wood inside the three-point line, and the best thing about this court is the font on the baseline and on top of the court is really cool and super unique. 11, I've got the Mavericks. Not a whole lot of color, but I like the font they used on the baselines, and I love when teams have city skylines on the bottom of the court, so this one's really good. 10th is the Nuggets. Like the color scheme, like the design of the court, but the reason it made it this far is because I love the 5280 underneath the free throw lines in reference to the city being a mile high. Super unique. 9th is the Grizzlies. I know it's plain, but since no other team in the NBA has a floor pattern like this, it stood out to me. And since it's one of a kind, it deserves to be top 10. 8th is the Lakers. This court is super iconic, and I really like the way that they mesh the purple and gold throughout the court, and I also like the secondary logos in the corners. 7, I've got the Raptors. Plain and simple, this one made it this far just because I think it looks really cool. I like the size of the logo at center court, and I like the tribute to Canada on the bottom with the We the North phrase, as well as the maple leaf. This one was well done. 6 is the Heat. Now, when I finish this series, I'm going to start a new one ranking alternate courts, and their vice court has a chance to be number 1 in that, but this one's good too. I like the color scheme, the font is unique, and the center court logo is sweet. 5th is the 76ers. The court's a really clean look. I like the secondary logos in the corners, but the reason it's top 5 is because the font throughout the court is perfect for a team with the name 76ers. 4th is the Pelicans. I like the color scheme. The font is perfect for a team in New Orleans, but when I'm doing these rankings, I look for unique. And the Pelican inside the three-point line is definitely that. This court is sweet. So real quick, these top 3 are in a tier of their own. They're by far the best 3 in the NBA. I could see an argument made for any one of them being number 1 because they're all elite. 3rd place is the Celtics. Super clean look. The parquet floor is really unique, and this is probably the most iconic court in the NBA. but I like a little bit of craziness, so that's why they weren't number 1. Second is the Nets. I love that they're the only team in the NBA with a different color court, and the gray fits their color scheme perfectly. And the subway font on the baseline is perfect for a team in Brooklyn. And number 1 is the Hornets. The color scheme and logos are sweet, but the honeycomb look is what sets them apart. It looks amazing and is perfect for their name.